Welcome back. You're watching HLN News Now and our continuing coverage of the Martin MacNeill murder trial. I'm Michael Honest. You just heard the words there of the mistress of Martin MacNeill, Jillian Gypsy Willis. She's set to testify today, and her testimony could flip this case upside down. And there she is. All eyes on her. We're getting word out of that courtroom that the courtroom is packed. They want a glimpse of this vixen, the mistress of Martin MacNeill. What will she say? You know, we heard her there talking, and that's what the defense wants. That Martin MacNeill wasn't obsessed. Yeah, he might have been a bad guy and he was cheating on his wife, but he certainly didn't want to kill her. The prosecution wants the other side to come out, that he was obsessed, wanted a new life with Gypsy, so Michelle had to go. Joining us now, great criminal defense attorney, John Phillips. All right, John, let's talk about, you and I had a chance to talk in the break here. You're excited to hear what Gypsy has to say. Well, let's go on each side. If you're the defense, what do you want to get out of her? How are you making sure that she keeps with that line there, that this was just a fling?
Friends with benefits, like she said, just, nothing serious. This was just a little thing, and she was no threat to the wife who ultimately was murdered. And on the other side, you want to play it up and show what happened at the funeral and what happened with her moving in as the nanny immediately thereafter. That's just so significant to me.
Right, okay, well, let's talk about that. And we heard just the heart-wrenching testimony yesterday of Rachel MacNeill. And this is a shattered woman, and she's talking about, I'm listening to this story, and it was just riveting how this is a few days after mom has died. Dad, let's go to the temple and let's pray about a nanny. And Gypsy shows up, and he acts like he doesn't even know her name, yet they've been having an affair for a year and a half. Do we have that, Luis? Okay, let's listen to Rachel and want to get your take on it on really a number of fronts. Here we go.
I expected her to be focused on the children. Okay. I expected her to do things related to that, to cook or clean or take care of the children.
And what did you see her doing?
My dad was cooking. She was sitting there staring at my dad, things like that. I mean, the children were taking care of themselves, or Ada was left alone. She's running down this sidewalk. I mean, there was nobody looking after the children. It was very, very different than it was when my mother was there.
Wow, you get a lot out of that, don't you?
Clearly
John?
traumatized. She was clearly traumatized by all of this, not only the sudden loss of her mother. I've dealt with these families many times, and it's so tragic to have a parent or a child lost overnight. And then to have a nanny move in who clearly wasn't a nanny, who was, the other half, the replacement part. Mm-hmm. And she didn't accept that replacement part. And to live it out on screen is just awful.
Do you get out of that, and that we've listened to that a few times, and I picked up on there that you get Martin MacNeill as obsessed, that he doesn't care about anybody else. The little Ada, who's 6 at the time, she can go ride her bike wherever. He's locked in on Gypsy. Do you get that?
Gypsy wasn't about the kids. She wasn't there to be a nanny and take care of the kids, because the kids were off doing what the kids did. Nothing. And it was clearly about him and him having a way to switch wives, if you will.
Wow. Okay, and the story she tells about the temple, that... again, it's mind-boggling to think of that. She's still grieving over her mom, and Dad, it appears, has orchestrated this chance meeting with Gypsy. Let's have that testimony right now.
Did he return, your father?
Yes, he did.
Okay, what happened when he returned?
He asked her what her name was again.
Okay.
And she said, my name's Jillian, and because she started talking to the nursing school, and he said, oh, that's wonderful. We should get that information. Can I get your phone number?
So your dad asked her for her phone number?
Yes.
What did he do anything physically when he was asking for the phone number?
He typed her phone number in.
Into what?
His cell phone.
His cell phone?
Yes.
Okay.
And then she mentioned that she had the information, and I said that I wasn't interested. She left.
So she ultimately left?
Yes.
What happened next?
My dad said, oh, she's seems really nice, but what's her name again? I said, Jillian, Dad. And he said, well, maybe we should call her and go to lunch. I said, I thought we were here to talk about getting a nanny.
Okay.
And he yelled at me. He said,
You feel for her all over again, John. Now, okay, you hear that and you connect the dots like this, that he's a bad guy. Right. But are the dots connected that he's a bad guy to the point where he'd murder his wife?
That's it. You know, she nailed him on motive. She's got motive all day long on him. But it doesn't go to what happened in the bathroom and what happened with the toxicology and where the body was placed. Although so she did get into some of that about the manner in which that she testified about the placement of the body. But I mean, your heart just goes out to her. But you can also see, as a defense attorney, that she's biased. She's had 6 years to sit on this, and she's upset, and she's made up her mind, which is another reason they didn't let Ada testify, because, you know, if I tell you you've got a purple shirt on for 6 years, eventually I'm going to ask you what color shirt, and you're going to say purple on a certain day. And, you know, she's made up her mind, and it's just, her testimony is as compelling as it comes when it comes to these trials.
Right. How are they going to get there? How's the prosecution going to get there? Because the science isn't in their favor. 3 experts, not one say manner of death, homicide. One says natural causes, 2 say undetermined. Does emotional testimony like that leapfrog that bad science?
It can. You know, you'd hope as a lawyer that it doesn't. But that's so powerful. It gives such a reason why this all makes sense. But the question is, all right, now we know it makes sense, but scientifically, can we put it together? Can we really assemble it? And that's where there's a problem. You know, you've got the timeline, there is some room. You know, After Dark's done a great job breaking all that down. But it's one of those, that should be where reasonable doubt lives. And I can't wait to see what happens when Ada gets up there, because that's going to be key. And Gypsy, of course. Gypsy,
right. And we'll talk about that as well. Ada, that ruling as well, who that favors. We'll talk about that. And of course, Gypsy set to take the stand today. She is the mistress. What will she say? Her testimony could flip this case upside down. We'll have it for you. Stay with us.
Where was the rest of her body?
Inside the tub.
So the rest of her body was inside the tub. Was she facing up or was she facing down?
Facing up.
Facing up. Okay. Was she lying down completely or sort of sitting up?
I think lying down completely.
Right, those are the words of Ada MacNeill. That's a sketch drawn by Ada MacNeill. Okay, here's the background to that. Ada MacNeill is 6 years old when her mom dies. She walks into the bathroom and sees her mom's lifeless body in the tub. What was the deal yesterday as far as the hearing goes? Judge trying to decide, okay, should she testify now at age 12, or has her testimony been tainted? Well, he kind of splits the deck here. Basically, yes, she will testify, but from a 2008 interview done by the Children's Justice Center, the judge believes, over the years, her sister/legal guardian, Alexis, kind of tainted her recollection of things. So we'll hear something that was closer to the event as well. She's a 7-year-old as she will walk through that. And then the defense will come along, cross-examine her present time as a 12-year-old to that, what happened then. A little bit convoluted, so maybe you can help clarify. John Phillips back with us. Win for the defense here?
Definitely a win for the defense.
How does this play out? Is this an unusual ruling?
Highly unusual, because essentially you're cross-examining off of a video. What the state usually would do is use the video to prepare their questions, and then they would get to ask follow-up questions based upon that and go into a lot more detail. Now they're stuck to this 2007, 2008 series of memories, and they can't really go forward to the finite detail they want. And then the other side on cross-examination gets to ask leading questions off of the video and hit their bullet points home. And by that time, you can redirect. The prosecution can redirect, but usually getting to go first live is a huge deal because you can set the tone. This time, the cross-examination gets to really go first.
Yeah, seems like the ball's in their court more so. Did the judge get it right? with all the circumstances, and Ada being the, her sister Alexis's legal guardian, who the judge deemed pretty much an agent of the state going against Dad here.
This was a call within the judge's discretion, and I think the judge made a good decision. Again, a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old is so influential. You can really change a child's memory. It's kind of the example. If I told you your favorite toy as a 6-year-old was Curious George, and I told you that for the rest of your life, when you're 13, somebody asked you what your favorite toy was, it was Curious George. Well, you never owned a Curious George, and so you can change somebody's memory, and that's what they think that it
and to that point, I know that's one of the questions that was asked. What's your favorite cartoon? SpongeBob.
Right.
That's and that was to determine, let everybody know she can tell the difference between pretend and reality.
Right.
Luis, want to take a break here? Okay, let's take a quick break. We'll talk more about that, and we'll let you in on what Ada said back then, and John will help decipher, okay, what could that mean today in this case? Also still to come, the testimony of the mistress, Gypsy Willis, right here on HLN.
Do you remember the last time you saw your mom?
When she was in the bathtub.
Can you tell us what happened?
Well, I got home from school and I went to go look for my mom, and I went into her room in the bathroom and I found her.
And again, that is heartbreaking. Again, we're delving into the mind of a 6-year-old who is now scarred by seeing her mom lifeless in the bathtub at age 6. Now she's going to be cross-examined. We're going to hear, again, her taped testimony or taped interview from 2008 when she's 7. John, what is the most significant fact about her testimony? Is it the clothing Mom was wearing? Is it the position of the body? Is that what?
The positioning of the body was very significant to me, just because it cooks his story entirely. I mean, he's done on his body positioning because he completely had it different.
Okay. What about the clothing? Because, she says fully clothed.
Right.
But yet, you end up with clothes thrown in a bloody, wet mess in the garage,
Right.
and others see her with no bottoms on. I mean, how does that all play out as far as the facts?
Again, it entirely impeaches his side of the story that he's stuck with from the beginning. And anytime you do that, and anytime you put so much evidence against a criminal defendant, a murderer, you stack the deck, and it gives the jury that beyond a reasonable doubt. If you realize you can throw out all of their case in chief,
Got it.
then you have someplace.
Okay. Again, that's the dealing with Ada's ruling. Gypsy Willis, the mistress, still set to take the stand. We'll have that for you. Also, this is there you see Gypsy Willis. You heard the voice there of Ada MacNeill. I believe she's 11 years old at the time. To give you the context, again, she's 6 in 2007 when her mom dies, and she sees her mom, her lifeless body in the bathtub. Now she's 12, and the judge did rule to some degree that her older sister / legal guardian, Alexis Summers, somewhat tainted her, through questioning and things like that. She was legal guardian. They were together a lot over the years. So Ada's testimony will consist of a taped interview done with the Children's Justice Center. That was done in 2008. I'm looking over some notes here. I'm going to bounce them off. John Phillips back with us, by the way, our expert here, legal and great criminal defense attorney. So it's September 9, 2008. Ada's 7 at the time. Some of the things she talks about, mom's pretty. She's got short blonde hair, just those things that are going to draw us in. But when you talked about the matter at hand, she talks about that she walks in, mom's in the water, there's brown stuff in the water. That's the mixture of blood and water that she sees. Dad sends me next door. He's trying to pull mom out of the tub. Mom still had her clothes on, pants and shirt, and she's all the way in the tub. What do you make of some of those facts? And because that's what we're going to hear here. Right,
and that was her first impression, again, before Dad got up there and made the 911 call and all of that. It's hard to put a 6-year-old in that situation who's going to be in immediate shock and try to determine what's accurate and what's shock-driven. And I think that's how they're going to defend it, is basically say, now, you said all that in the video, but do you really know and impeach her by the time gap? It's tough.
How do you impeach a 12-year-old and not turn yourself into a villain going after, again, a young girl?
Very delicately. Yeah, you cross that line with the jury, you'll lose that jury forever. Reasonable doubt or not, if you badger. I've won some of my best cases against some of the meanest attorneys that I don't know that I should have won, but the attorney just went way too far on the other side, and you can flip a jury in a heartbeat.
Right. Prosecution, their hands are somewhat tied because of I think the defense, and you've said it as well, is driving this because they get first crack after that video to cross-examine, and they got to piggyback off that. What do you have to pull out of Ada if you're the prosecutors to get you closer to a guilty verdict?
Yeah, Ada is one of those witnesses that, and especially since the prosecutors only get to use redirect, so the jury would have already heard her through the entire videotape. I assume they're paying the entire thing, and then cross-examination off of the videotape. You're just trying to hit, I guess, reverse hit home the points that the defendant's counsel makes. It's again with a 12-year-old dealing with 6-year-old memories, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's going to be compelling.
Okay, so compelling. That's what we have with Ada. That's what we had yesterday with Rachel, one of the daughters who believes dad did it. We've got Gypsy coming up today, the mistress, and you've got Alexis in full next week. Of those four, who decides this case the most from your estimation?
We don't know what Gypsy's going to do.
Yeah.
If I knew what Gypsy was going to do, I'd be able to say, hey, it's Gypsy. But Rachel was so compelling. I don't think anybody can arrive to the level that she was at. Ada, I just don't see Ada making that much of a compelling swing. Now, she's going to be compelling, but I don't see her rising to the level just because, my gosh, what is Gypsy going to say?
Yeah. We hope to find out today. We're waiting. We're going to take you back into that courtroom. Gypsy's on the way. The toxicologist, Gary Dawson, he's on the stand talking about, and there he is, and we'll have some more of his testimony coming up. He's talking about the combination of drugs in Michelle's system. Prosecution wants that jury to believe this combination was administered by the doctor. More coming up. Stay with us.